2 years. 2 damn years I spent clawing my way out of a prison cell built from lies. Not metaphorical ones, real bars, cold concrete, steel doors. They said I embezzled funds from my own company. My name was on the headlines. Ethan Cole, fraud kingpin. My wife, Madison, vanished with my so-called best friend, Ryan Blake, within days of the verdict. She didn't even show up to my sentencing. Not a visit. Not a word. Fast forward 2 years, and the same corrupt system that swallowed me whole finally spit me back out, cleared of all charges. Framed. I was innocent all along. But it didn't matter. My company? Gone. My house? Sold. My name? Dragged through every sewer pipe in the city. And Madison? She was already planning her next photo op, her wedding. To Ryan. The call came in the morning. I was staring at my face in the cracked bathroom mirror of the one-bedroom dump I'd been renting since release. The voice on the other end was familiar, but soaked in venom. Her mother. "You're a convict now, Ethan," she hissed. "My daughter's marrying your ex-business partner today. They're planning to rob you blind." She hung up before I could even respond. It didn't sound like a warning, it sounded like mockery. A victory lap. But she underestimated one thing. I had the proof. I'd spent every sleepless night since my release digging, researching, connecting dots the cops had ignored. I had a file thick enough to strangle a man with bank statements, fake invoices, hidden audio recordings. Ryan's signature on contracts that didn't exist before I went inside. Madison's emails, cold, calculated instructions to bleed him dry and let him rot. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a setup. A brutal, methodical hit on every part of my life. I showed up to the venue like a ghost. Black suit, no invitation. The moment I stepped into that crystal chandelier nightmare of a reception hall, heads turned. Some in shock, some in fear. But Madison? She just smiled. That same wicked smirk I remembered from court. She looked stunning, of course she did. Designer dress, curled blonde hair, dripping in jewelry. A masterpiece of deception. Ryan's arm was around her waist like a possession. He went pale the second he saw me. Good. I didn't say a word. I walked straight to the main table, past their fake friends and plastic applause, and tossed the thick folder right in front of them. The room froze mid-toast. "Here's your wedding gift," I said. My voice was calm. Ice cold. Ryan reached for the file with shaking hands. Madison didn't move. She didn't even blink. But when he opened it, page after page of forged documents, screenshots, transaction records, the color drained from both their faces like water down a sink. You could hear a pin drop. No more laughter. No more fake champagne smiles. Only truth, laid out in black and white. "You framed me," I said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. "You stole everything. But I'm taking it back." A murmur broke out. Someone gasped. Madison finally spoke, voice low, sharp like a knife. "You don't belong here, Ethan. You're nothing now. You were always weak." I stepped closer, looking her dead in the eye. "Then why are your hands trembling?" I could see her nostrils flare, jaw clench. That perfect mask she always wore cracking. Before she could spit another lie, I turned to the crowd. "This woman and this man set me up, stole my business, my life, and left me to rot. But now I've got everything I need to bring them down. Enjoy the cake." I turned and walked out as security started whispering into radios and the press, invited to cover A Love Story Reborn, scrambled for their cameras. I didn't need to watch it all burn. I'd already lit the match. But the story doesn't end there. That was just the beginning. Because finding out the truth was one thing. Living with it was another. After the wedding crash, I didn't go home. I couldn't. I drove until I ran out of gas. No direction, no plan. Just rage in my chest and that twisted grin of hers playing on a loop in my head. Madison was always good at pretending. A master actress. In hindsight, all the signs were there from the start. Little things that didn't feel right but that I dismissed because I was in love, or at least in whatever twisted illusion she sold me. Like how she never wanted to talk about my business, even when things were going great. She'd smile, nod, change the subject. Or how she'd always disappear for girls' weekends and come back smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. The worst part? She always had an explanation. A smooth lie. And every time, I bought it. Because she made you feel crazy for asking questions. One weekend, about 6 months before I got arrested, she came back from Vegas with her friends. She claimed she lost her phone. Said it fell in the pool. No big deal. But when I offered to help restore her cloud backup, she went pale. "No need," she snapped. "It's just stuff with the girls." I let it go. That's the kind of man I used to be. And Ryan, he'd been around for years. We built the company from scratch. He was the one who introduced me to Madison at a networking event. I remember how they looked at each other, even then. I should have known. The betrayal wasn't just about losing my business or my name. It was about every moment I defended her. Every time I shut down my own gut instincts to protect her from suspicion. She weaponized my love. She used it like a shield. The night after the wedding, I stayed at a cheap motel off the freeway. No one knew me there. I sat in the dark, folder on the nightstand, staring at the photos, screenshots of messages between her and Ryan. He's too trusting. Let's push the fake contract next week. I'll keep him distracted. Good. Once he signs it, it's over for him. I don't want him in jail, babe. I want him erased. Every word was a blade, but I read them all, over and over. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. My mind was spinning with every memory I had of her, the laughs, the quiet mornings, her head on my chest, and how fake it all was. I wasn't grieving a wife. I was grieving the idea of her, the version I thought I knew. I thought about revenge, real revenge. But that's what they expected. That's what they hoped for. One more slip-up, one more angry mistake, and they could paint me as unhinged again. I wasn't giving them that. I started planning. Smart. Legal. Clean. The folder I dropped at the wedding? That was just the appetizer. I had more. I had voice memos, hidden files, burner phone logs. I wasn't going to the police. I'd already seen what justice meant to them. No. I'd go to someone who knew how to use information the right way. But before that, I needed one more thing. Closure. Not the fake kind people talk about. I wanted to look Madison in the eye. Now that I knew everything, I wanted her to see that I wasn't broken, that she failed to destroy me, that the man she buried was walking out of the grave. And so I made a call. I knew where she'd be the next morning, brunch with her sister and her new in-laws, showing off her shiny ring and sipping overpriced mimosas like nothing ever happened. I showed up unannounced. She looked up from her plate and dropped her fork. "Oh," she said. "You again?" "Yeah, me again." She tried to act unbothered, like she hadn't just seen me crash her wedding and detonate her fairy tale in front of everyone. But the tremble in her hand, the way she tightened her jaw, she was rattled. "Good. Didn't think you had the balls to show your face again," Madison said, forcing a smirk. She always relied on arrogance when fear started creeping in. Her sister, Nicole, leaned in, whispering something, probably telling her to stay calm, not to make a scene. But I wasn't there for a scene. I was there for clarity. "You always were a great actress, Madison. But let's stop the show for a second," I said, sliding into the seat across from her like I belonged there. The brunch crowd was buzzing, people turning to look, pretending not to stare. I didn't care. "You planned it, didn't you? Every step. Framing me, ruining my name, jumping into bed with Ryan the second I was out of the picture." She rolled her eyes. "Don't flatter yourself, Ethan. You ruined your own life. All I did was move on." "Really?" I leaned forward. "So that contract you convinced me to sign 3 weeks before my arrest, the one that handed Ryan controlling interest in the company, was that just coincidence?" Her lips twitched. A flicker of panic. I kept going. "What about the emails? The fake invoices? Or the photos of you sneaking into Ryan's place while I was pulling 18-hour days trying to keep the company afloat?" She glanced around nervously now. The mimosas on the table were untouched. Her sister was shrinking into her seat. "You think you're going to win some sympathy parade now that you're out of jail?" she snapped. "Nobody's going to care what you have to say. You're a disgraced ex-con. You're irrelevant." I smiled. Not to the IRS. Not to the investors Ryan's still trying to scam. And definitely not to the news outlets that are very interested in hearing how a woman married her husband's best friend after sending him to prison for crimes they both orchestrated. Now her mask slipped. "You wouldn't," she whispered. "I already did." I stood up. "But that's not why I came." She looked confused. Defensive. "Then why?" "I came because I needed to see you one last time. Not to scream. Not to threaten. Just to remind myself who you really are." She scoffed. "A bitch, right? That's what you're thinking." I looked her dead in the eye. "No. A coward. You didn't destroy me because I was weak. You tried because I was strong, and you couldn't control that. That cut deeper than anything." I saw it in her face. All that charm, the polished image she wore like armor, it cracked. "You'll regret this," she muttered. I leaned closer. "I already did. For years. But not anymore." I dropped the flash drive on the table, slid it across to her. "All the files. Go ahead, delete them. Won't matter. I've got 10 more copies. And the first article goes live tomorrow. Then I walked out. No yelling. No drama. Just silence. I felt something shift inside me as I stepped into the sunlight. I confronted the demon I used to call my wife, and I didn't feel small. I felt free. That was the first real breath I'd taken in 2 years. The article dropped the next morning at 8 a.m. sharp. The headline was brutal and honest. Exonerated CEO exposes wife and business partner in elaborate fraud scheme. It had everything: bank documents, photos, quotes from the case, and enough fire to burn their reputations to ash. I didn't have to refresh the page more than once. My inbox was already flooding with messages, some from old colleagues, some from journalists, and some from people I hadn't heard from in years. Even my lawyer called just to say, "Well done, Ethan. You just flipped the whole damn table." But none of that compared to the moment I got a message from Ryan. No greeting. No explanation. Just one line. "We need to talk. In private." I laughed out loud. This was the same guy who stood beside me at my wedding, called me brother, and then turned around and gutted me like a fish the first chance he got. Now he wanted to talk? Still, I agreed. Because when your enemy starts sweating, that's when you press harder. We met in a downtown parking garage. Cliché, I know, but fitting for a snake like him. He was already there when I pulled up. Same smug face, but the confidence? Gone. His posture was stiff, eyes darting around like someone expecting to get jumped. "Cut the crap, Ryan," I said before he could speak. "Say whatever you came to say." He took a shaky breath. "Look, Ethan, things got out of hand, all right? It wasn't supposed to go that far." I stepped closer. "You framed me for a felony and married my wife. That's a little past. Things got out of hand." "She came to me," he snapped. "She was the one who started it. I swear to God. She hated you. Said you were suffocating her, that she needed out. I saw an opportunity. And took it." I finished for him. "Because you're not just a traitor, you're a coward." He didn't deny it. He ran a hand through his hair, clearly unraveling. "You need to stop, man. The article, it's killing us. Investors are pulling out. Clients are canceling. I'm bleeding money." I tilted my head. "Sounds familiar." "You got your revenge," he said. "Just walk away now. You proved your point." But I hadn't. Not yet. "See, Ryan, this isn't just about revenge. This is about justice. The kind the court couldn't give me. The kind that wipes your name off every building you stole from me." His face dropped. "You're serious. Dead serious." He backed up a step. "Then you're no better than she is." I smiled. "Difference is, I didn't lie to your face while I was stabbing you in the back." I left him standing there, sweating under a flickering garage light, the sound of his empire collapsing echoing in his ears. That afternoon, Madison posted a story on social media, one of those hollow attempts at damage control. It was a black and white photo of her looking heartbroken, with a caption that read, "People will believe anything they read." I stayed silent out of respect, but lies are louder than truth. It had tens of thousands of likes from people too shallow to know better. But the comments? Brutal. People weren't buying her act anymore. The court of public opinion had turned. But even as everything started falling into place, a strange emptiness crept in. The justice felt good, no doubt, but there was still this gaping wound inside me. Not because I missed her. No, I missed the version of myself who believed in her. That man was gone, and I wasn't sure what was left behind. But I was about to find out. Revenge tastes sweet at first. The adrenaline, the power shift, watching them flail while everything crumbles, yeah, that part, that hits. But what they don't tell you is what comes after. Silence. Not peace. Not closure. Just silence. I'd spent every day for 2 years burning with one goal, to clear my name and make them pay. But now that it was happening, I was alone in a cheap apartment with peeling paint and a flickering kitchen light. The TV played reruns I wasn't watching. My phone buzzed every few minutes, but I stopped checking. I wasn't celebrating. I was unraveling. That night, I opened a bottle of bourbon and sat on the floor like some tragic movie cliché. I stared at a photo I hadn't been able to throw away. Our wedding day, me in a charcoal suit, Madison in that ivory dress, her fake smile immortalized forever. What a joke. The woman in that picture didn't exist. I thought about calling someone, my brother, my old college friend Nick, even my lawyer, but I didn't. I didn't want to talk. I just wanted to feel something other than this gnawing void inside me. You don't expect the heartbreak after the betrayal to come in waves like this. I thought I was past the pain. I wasn't. I was knee-deep in it. It wasn't just that she cheated. It wasn't just that she stole my company and tried to bury me. It was how easy it was for her. How natural it looked when she smiled in public, when she said, "I love you," when she called me babe and kissed me goodnight. How many times had I kissed a lie? I don't know when I fell asleep, but I woke up to my doorbell buzzing like a fire alarm. Sunlight burned through the blinds. I squinted at the clock, 10:27 a.m. I stumbled to the door, still in yesterday's clothes. When I opened it, I froze. It was Madison, hair pulled back in a messy bun. No makeup, no rings, no crowd, just her. "What the hell are you doing here?" I said, voice hoarse. "I need to talk to you," she said softly. "Please." I almost laughed. "You want to talk? You should have thought of that before you wrecked my life." "I didn't know it would go this far," she whispered. Bull asterisk 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 dot. She stepped forward. I blocked the door. "I didn't come to fight," she said. "Just let me say something. Then I'll go." I let her in. Maybe it was closure. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe I just wanted to see if she could actually admit it. She sat on the edge of the couch, hands in her lap like a schoolgirl being scolded. "I didn't love you anymore, Ethan," she said after a long pause. "That part is true. But I didn't plan to destroy you. That was Ryan's idea." I was angry. "I let it happen." "You let it happen?" I repeated, almost choking. "You let me rot in a cell while you went dress shopping and planned your next betrayal." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I didn't care. I thought you were strong," she said. "I didn't think it would break you." I laughed bitterly. "It didn't. You know what broke me? Trusting you. Believing you were something more than what you are." "I'm sorry," she whispered. But she wasn't. She was sorry because it backfired. Because the world turned on her. "Do me a favor," I said. "Take your apology and give it to the mirror. You owe it to yourself more than to me." She stood up slowly, wiping her face. "Goodbye, Ethan. Good riddance, Madison." And just like that, the ghost walked out of my life again. But this time, she didn't haunt me. This time, I slammed the door. After Madison left, I didn't move for 10 minutes. I just stood there, staring at the door. My chest was tight, not from sadness, not anymore. From something colder, something sharper. Rage was easy. Pain, too. But what I felt now was clarity. Like I'd been trying to breathe through water for 2 years, and suddenly the air was clean. She'd said she didn't love me anymore. Said it as if that justified everything. But you don't have to love someone to not destroy them. She chose to. That was the difference. And I wasn't done yet. If Madison was crumbling, Ryan was still standing. I wanted him to fall harder. He was always the planner. Madison was emotional, reactive, easily led. But Ryan? He was methodical, calculated. And he was still walking free. So I made a call to someone I hadn't spoken to since before the arrest, Connor Hayes. Ex-employee. Brilliant, loyal, and one of the few people who didn't vanish when the media fed frenzy after my conviction. Connor picked up immediately. "Ethan, you said if I ever needed help." "I'm in," he said before I could finish. "Where do we start?" I grinned. "We start with Ryan's offshore accounts." Connor had receipts. He'd been tracking irregular activity for months before I went down, but didn't have the power or clearance to do anything about it once I was out of the picture. Now, with me back and mad as hell, we had something stronger, motive, proof, and a target with everything to lose. Within 48 hours, we'd uncovered over $3 million funneled through dummy companies Ryan created post-takeover. He hadn't just stolen the business. He bled it slowly, laundering money while using Madison as his front. Worse? Some of those dummy corporations were in Madison's name. Whether she knew or not didn't matter anymore. Legally, she was implicated. I forwarded the documents anonymously to the IRS, SEC, and 3 major news outlets. I wasn't even interested in watching the bomb drop this time. Instead, I started doing something I hadn't done in years. I rebuilt. Not from revenge. Not from bitterness. But from fire. I took a loan, small, personal. Got a cheap office space in an industrial park with flickering lights and peeling carpet. And I started writing ideas on a whiteboard like I used to. Tech logistics. Efficiency tools. I didn't care about glory anymore. I just wanted something mine. Something untouched by betrayal. Then came the emails. Former clients. Investors. A few industry friends who had quietly followed the story. They were ready. Not just to hear me out, but to back me. Apparently, the world loves a comeback story even more than it loves a scandal. By the end of the week, I had a team of 5. And we were hungry. The headlines about Madison and Ryan kept rolling in fraud investigation, frozen assets, a leaked video of them arguing in public that went viral. Madison screaming, "You said I'd be safe," as Ryan tried to drag her into a car. It didn't give me joy. It gave me closure. She wasn't a mystery anymore. Just another chapter in a story I was ready to finish. Because while they were collapsing, I was rising. And this time, no one was taking it from me. I thought I'd left it all behind. The scandal, the lies, the courtroom circus. But the past doesn't disappear. It circles like a vulture, waiting for you to slow down just enough to bite again. One evening, just as I was locking up the office, a converted shipping container with cheap Wi-Fi and even cheaper furniture, I saw the figure waiting by my car. It was Madison's mother. I hadn't seen her since that phone call. The one where she told me I was a convict now and warned me that Madison was marrying Ryan to finish the job. I almost turned around and walked back inside. But she spoke first. "I was wrong," she said quietly. The words stunned me more than if she'd slapped me. She looked older than I remembered, less like the woman who used to sneer at my clothes and ask if I'd ever be man enough to handle her daughter, and more like someone who'd watched her whole world burn down in slow motion. "Why are you here?" I asked. "Because I know what they did to you. I helped raise that monster," she said. "And I want to help you finish it." I narrowed my eyes. "Why now?" She looked down. "Because Madison called me last night, crying, begging me to send her money. She's broke, and Ryan's vanished." That made me blink. "What do you mean vanished?" "Gone," she said. "Packed a bag, drained what was left of his accounts, and disappeared. Probably somewhere with no extradition treaty." It hit me like a punch to the gut. Ryan wasn't going to stand and fight. He was going to run. Typical. Let the mess fall on Madison and vanish before it got too hot. "She said you ruined her life," her mother added. I told her she ruined yours first. For once, she had no comeback. I didn't know whether to laugh or spit. "She'll turn on him," I muttered. "If she hasn't already." Her mother nodded. "She will. She's always looking for someone else to blame. But here's the thing, Ethan," she paused. "She still has one card left to play." I tilted my head. "What are you talking about?" "She has a backup drive. I saw her hide it before the wedding, one of those encrypted USB sticks. She called it her insurance policy. I think it's got everything on it. Stuff even you haven't seen." Now that got my attention. "Where is it?" "I don't know," she admitted. "But I know where to start looking." Madison used to keep anything important in the wine cellar at our old place, hidden in a fake wine bottle. Of course, Madison would hide evidence in plain sight, tucked among vintage Merlot and overpriced Cabernet. It was poetic, really. I stared at her mother, trying to read her angle. But she looked tired. Not like someone playing both sides. Just someone who'd finally had enough. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because I want one thing," she said. "I want her to know what it feels like to lose everything." "Fair enough. Then let's end this," I said. Later that night, I drove to the old mansion. The place where I used to host barbecues and client dinners, where Madison once told me she wanted to raise kids. It felt like walking into a haunted house. The wine cellar hadn't changed. Still chilled, still lined with racks of expensive bottles. And just as her mother said, there it was, third row, back corner, a dusty label on a bottle that didn't match the rest. I pulled it, unscrewed the bottom. Inside, black USB drive. Heavy. Real. Back at the office, I plugged it in and waited. It took 2 minutes to decrypt. 2 minutes that felt like hours. And when it opened, what I saw made my blood run cold. Videos. Dozens of them. Recordings of meetings, bedroom conversations, confessions, plans, proof of everything. Proof that Madison and Ryan had set up others, not just me. Investors. Partners. Friends. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a damn criminal empire. And I had it all. I stared at the screen like it might explode. Dozens of files, each one uglier than the last. Madison and Ryan hadn't just framed me, they had a whole system. They'd been running this long before I ended up in cuffs. Fake investment pitches. Shell corporations. Off-the-books consulting deals where the clients never saw a cent again. And the worst part? The voices. Clear as day. "Madison, this guy's practically begging to invest. We'll take the money, loop it through the dummy accounts, and make it look like he got burned by a third party. Easy. Ryan, we give him just enough hope to hang himself. That's how you keep them quiet." Madison, laughing, "You're good at this." I felt sick. These weren't just business scams. Some of the people in those recordings were people I knew, friends, acquaintances. People I used to trust, and who probably lost everything after trusting her. It was all on tape. Audio, video, email backups, dates, names, bank trails. It was the kind of evidence that sends people away for decades. And I had it. I spent the next 6 hours organizing everything, sorting it, backing it up in 3 different clouds, uploading encrypted copies to 2 trusted lawyers. No more mistakes. I wasn't letting them bury this. Not again. At 9:03 a.m., I walked into the same federal building that laughed me out the door 2 years earlier. But this time, I wasn't alone. This time, I came in with folders, flash drives, timelines, and names. The investigator barely looked at me until I dropped the flash drive on the desk and said, "Play the first file." 2 minutes later, he wasn't blinking. By noon, there were 3 more agents in the room, and one of them was already on the phone with the U.S. Attorney's office. I left the building with my hands free and my name clean. And Madison? She never saw it coming. She was arrested 2 days later, wearing a designer coat and oversized sunglasses, trying to walk out of a cafe like her world wasn't crumbling beneath her heels. They cuffed her on the sidewalk. The video hit the internet within the hour. Her mother called me that evening. She cried, she said. Said you were evil. Said you set her up. I almost laughed. No, I replied. I just finally let the truth speak for itself. Ryan was found in Panama a week later. Private villa, fake passport, and a bank account with less than $5,000 left. He looked like hell in the mugshot. And me? I was back in business. Not the same business. Something new. Something mine. Something real. The kind of company where people shake your hand without wondering what's hidden behind your back. I still lived modestly. Still drove the same scratched-up car. But I slept better. I didn't check the locks 5 times before bed. I didn't wake up gasping from memories of metal bars and cold floors. I had peace. One day, months later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. I opened it slowly. Inside was a single sentence written in handwriting I recognized too well. Was it worth it? No name. No signature. Just those 4 words. I stared at it for a moment, then smiled, grabbed a pen, and scrawled my answer on the back before throwing it into the fire. Every damn second. Because I had lost everything. And still came back stronger.